Hey guys, what is going on? So I wanted to talk about the two other fragrances that I got, which is Office for Men and Date for Men, which I got from Fragrance One. I got them along with Black Tie. I made a review on that if you're interested. It's just kind of a first impressions type of thing. But I'm going to start off here with Office. So the reason that I start with this one is because I think this is probably going to be one that is a little bit more appealing to most people, something that's a little bit more versatile. And I'm not really going to talk about the prices of these because if you're shopping at this place at Fragrance One, you're probably not super concerned about prices. You're probably not looking for the cheapest thing in the world. You just want to know, is this something that is worth having? And I would say it is. I think it has kind of that, Office, I think they are named pretty appropriately. It has kind of what you'd expect, but then you just kind of get that similarity to Aventus as well, which I think is, it's not super obvious. It's something that had to kind of be suggested to me before I kind of put two and two together, but then it's definitely there once you kind of you can't unsee it, you can't unsmell it. And I think that similarity is obviously, that's one of the best colognes for most people. And so if you like Aventus, I think you're going to find a similarity there. But it also is just great for, casual wear, going to the office. I think one thing that you'll find with a lot of those type of fragrances, at least for me, is that you spray them on and they just don't last all that long. They're a little bit more fresh. They get compliments and stuff like that, but maybe the performance isn't all that great. And if you're somebody who legitimately works in an office and you want it to last all day, maybe that's something that you get. For me, I don't work in an office. I don't have any need for something like that, but I do find that this is unique enough where I do reach for it. Now, it is pretty generic at the same time, so don't expect anything life-changing, but it does kind of have that little twist to it that I do appreciate. And I find out of the three, this is the one that I reach for the most. But the performance is probably more than I would need, and the projection is a little bit more than I would need. So I find it a little bit too intense for my liking, but that could be an absolute positive for you. But I do think that it is, a good one and one that a lot of people are going to like. It's just maybe not one that I use all that much. But the other one is kind of the opposite, where a lot of people really like the generic, not generic, but, the standard clubbing, date fragrances, the ones that are like overly sweet, in my opinion, the beast mode performance, all that stuff. And I find with this one, the performance is great, the projection, all that. That's kind of a consistent thing with Fragrance One. But the overly sweetness aspect of those type of fragrances that for me, it's like, I like the smell. I don't want to smell like that. I don't want to smell just like super insanely sweet. And I think this dials it back just enough where it's appropriate. And this is one where I find it perfectly fits a niche. I think Date is absolutely the perfect name for this. I think Office, maybe it's a little too intense for Office, the way that I would perceive it. But with Date, I actually think that it is appropriately named. And, it could probably double as a clubbing fragrance. Honestly, I don't do any of that stuff, so I can't really tell you what is necessary. But I find that there are so many clubbing fragrances that are all pretty similar to me, and I think they're kind of redundant. I think this is unique enough where it's actually one that I would, probably more so recommend as like a must-have in a collection. So those are my opinions on those. I think that, if I had to choose one, Office is definitely one that I use more, but I don't really need this in my collection, and it is not really suited for my personal needs all that much, but I do use it more. But Date is kind of one where, I have so many fragrances already. I'm not looking for something that I can wear every single day because I have a bunch of those. But something like this where, it's unique enough, it's not overly sweet, and it just kind of brings that aspect of, this is something that you might wear on a date, and it would actually be successful in that regard, or maybe something that you'd actually want to smell like, as opposed to just super overly sweet. And even though this does have an obvious sweetness to it, I think it dials it back just enough where I think this is one that I would consider to be, one that I would want to own a little bit more. So anyway, that's all I got to say about that. I will keep you updated, and I'll talk to you soon.